The brilliant waypoint on the 99th floor suddenly begins to shine brightly. A huge pillar of light rises into the sky, and a few moments later, Sejuan and all of his companions step out of the teleportation gate one after another. The mighty Ox King is already waiting nearby. As soon as he notices them, he immediately turns his enormous head toward them. His large eyes become wide with relief as he realizes that everyone returns safely. He lets out a surprised moo, showing how relieved he feels. Sejuan stretches both of his arms high into the air, takes a deep breath, and happily shouts that they are finally back. Kung excitedly jumps up and down beside him while waving both of his paws. He happily cries that they are finally home. Seeing everyone return safely, the Ox King's serious expression immediately softens into a warm smile. He happily says that they successfully bring Park Sejuan back without any problems. Theo proudly puffs out his chest, places both paws on his waist, and confidently replies that of course they managed to do it. Just then, the Ox King's nose suddenly twitches several times. He sniffs the air carefully before pointing one of his huge fingers toward the basket everyone is carrying. Curious, he asks what sweet smell is coming from it. Bat happily flutters around the basket again and again, unable to hide his excitement. He proudly explains that the smell comes from a fruit called a banana, which they bring back from the 77th floor. He adds that the fruit is incredibly sweet, soft, and delicious. The Ox King's eyes become even wider with surprise. He cannot believe that such an amazing fruit exists on the 77th floor. As he stares at the pile of bright yellow bananas, drool slowly runs from the corner of his mouth, and his sparkling eyes clearly reveal how badly he wants to taste one. Sejuan notices the hungry look on the giant ruler's face and lets out a helpless laugh. He explains that they originally bring the bananas for themselves, but after seeing the Ox King's reaction, he changes his mind. Smiling brightly because he is in a good mood, he tells Ox number 4 and Ox number 5 to throw some bananas to everyone. The two Ox warriors immediately catch several bananas and happily toss them toward the Ox King while shouting loudly with excitement. Kung quickly hugs the remaining basket tightly with both paws and cries out in panic, asking everyone to leave some bananas for him. Sejuan gently pats Kung on the head and comforts him. He explains that there is no need to worry because the banana farm belongs to them now. They can return there whenever they want and harvest as many bananas as they need. For now, since they have been away from the farm for such a long time, he says they should return to their usual work. At that moment, a familiar blue system window suddenly appears in front of Sejuan. Alen happily greets him and says that he finally comes back. Sejuan immediately smiles and happily tells her that he safely returns without getting hurt. Alen lets out a long sigh of relief and says she is very thankful. She then asks whether anything dangerous happens during the trip. Sejuan laughs awkwardly and admits that many things happen, but he remains safe because everyone helps him throughout the journey. Kung quickly raises one paw and proudly says that he helps too. Alen giggles at his cheerful attitude before asking Sejuan whether he checks the new authority he receives. Sejuan says that he already does and thanks her. He happily explains that his magic power increases by a huge amount because of that authority. However, he suddenly remembers something important. Narrowing his eyes suspiciously, he asks Alen whether that authority is purchased using a massive amount of his tower coin deposit. The cheerful smile on Eileen's face instantly freezes. Inside the blue tower, she nearly jumps in surprise. She hurriedly forces an awkward smile and pretends that the communication is suddenly becoming unstable. As the screen begins flickering dramatically, she quickly apologizes, says goodbye, and immediately cuts the connection. The system window disappears in an instant. Sejuan quietly stares at the empty space for a moment before chuckling to himself. He says that he is actually about to tell her that everything is fine and that he is not angry about it. Far away inside the blue tower, Alen covers her bright red face with both hands, feeling completely embarrassed because she believes Sejuan is upset with her. Meanwhile, back at Sejuan's farm, complete chaos is already taking place. Kaiser and Kellyan stand in the middle of the fields, glaring fiercely at each other while loudly arguing. Farmer Rabbit, the baby rabbit, Queen Bee, the mushroom rabbits, the mushroom spiders, and several other workers nervously stay far away, watching the dangerous situation from a safe distance. Kellyan angrily points toward one part of the farm and insists that the mushroom ants should be deployed there. Kaiser immediately shakes his head and argues that the experienced rabbits should handle the work instead. Farmer Rabbit holds his head in panic and says that this situation is terrible because Sejuan is absent, leaving nobody capable of stopping the two dragons. The little baby rabbit trembles with fear while hiding behind Farmer Rabbit's leg, making tiny frightened squeaks. Kellyan crosses his arms and stubbornly insists that he is correct. Kaiser's patience finally reaches its limit, and he angrily calls Kellyan Whitey. A large vein bulges on Kellyan's forehead as he furiously warns Kaiser never to call him by that name again before threatening him. Kaiser refuses to back down. He steps forward and declares that his patience is also gone. Instantly, a dark blue aura explodes around Kellyan, while blazing crimson energy erupts around Kaiser. The terrifying pressure released by the two dragons shakes the entire area. They stare directly into each other's eyes without blinking, and the ground begins trembling beneath them. Strong winds spread across the fields from the overwhelming power. Farmer Rabbit desperately grabs his precious straw hat before the powerful wind blows it away. He worries that if this continues, the farm will once again be destroyed. Just as the battle is about to begin, a familiar voice suddenly echoes across the farm. Sejun loudly demands to know what they think they are doing and reminds them that he clearly forbids fighting on the farm. Everyone immediately turns toward him. Sejun stands there with all of his companions behind him. The moment Kaiser sees Sejun, the anger on his face immediately disappears. He happily says that everyone safely returns. Farmer Rabbit's eyes fill with relief as he joyfully welcomes Master Sejun back. Queen Bee happily buzzes through the air while excitedly welcoming him home as well. Sejun smiles warmly at everyone and asks how they have all been during his absence. Kellyan casually replies that most of them are doing very well. Farmer Rabbit awkwardly coughs and quietly points out that the important word is most. Sejun slowly looks around every corner of the farm. The crops are healthy, the fields are clean and well organized, and everything looks much better than he expects after being away for so long. He happily comments that the farm looks amazing even without him. Farmer Rabbit proudly straightens his back and explains that it is all because Sejun trusts everyone enough to leave the farm in their care. One mushroom rabbit raises a paw and says that compared to the days when they work under the fire ants, this farm feels like heaven itself. Another mushroom rabbit eagerly agrees. He happily explains that they can sleep as much as they want, work while eating delicious crops throughout the day, and live without fear. He also says that after eating such healthy crops every day, the mushrooms growing on their backs become much healthier and stronger than before. Theo carefully looks at the mushrooms and agrees that they really do appear healthier. Sejun thoughtfully nods and says that if that is true, then cooking those crops should make them even more delicious and nutritious. His smile grows wider as he happily announces that today is going to be a party. Kung tilts his head in confusion and asks what a party is. Theo excitedly explains that, just like during the harvest festival, everyone gathers together, eats lots of delicious food, dances happily, laughs together, and enjoys themselves. Bat spins joyfully through the air with excitement. Kung's eyes sparkle brightly, and he happily says that if parties are like that, then they should have one every single day. Sejun laughs loudly and says that such an idea sounds wonderful too. He then asks everyone whether there is any special food they want to eat. Theo immediately raises one paw and excitedly asks for grilled fish. Farmer Rabbit eagerly requests carrot soup. One mushroom spider looks completely confused because he has never heard of cooking before and quietly wonders what cooking even is. Bat happily circles overhead while asking for fruit. Kung throws both paws into the air and excitedly says that he wants to eat absolutely everything. Sejun claps his hands together and happily tells everyone to prepare for the party. Soon, a large bonfire burns brightly in the middle of the farm. The flames crackle loudly while fresh fish are placed over the fire. A delicious smell quickly fills the entire farm, making everyone's stomach growl. Theo's mouth immediately fills with saliva as he happily says the food already looks incredibly tasty. Everyone enthusiastically works together to prepare the feast. Kung carefully grills the fish over the fire, while Fatty Rabbit struggles to carry a huge pile of carrots toward the cooking area. At that moment, hurried footsteps race across the fields. Garen runs toward them as fast as he can. He quickly calls out to Master Theo. Theo turns around in surprise and happily recognizes Garen. After finally catching his breath, Garen says that he is relieved to see Theo safe and unharmed. Theo awkwardly scratches the back of his head and apologizes, admitting that he completely forgets about Garen during the trip. Garen weakly smiles and says that everything is fine because it is his own fault for failing to keep up with the group. Theo suddenly becomes curious and asks why Garen does not travel with them to the 77th floor. Garen begins explaining that there is actually a reason, but before he can finish speaking, Kellyan suddenly shouts loudly that he wants an invitation to the party as well. Kaiser immediately points a finger at him and firmly refuses, saying that Kellyan is not even originally invited to the Black Tower. Kellyan snorts and insults Kaiser by saying that he is truly black to the core and unbelievably petty. Kaiser's eyebrow immediately twitches with anger as he demands to know what Kellyan just says. The atmosphere instantly becomes tense once again. Seeing another fight about to begin, Sejun quickly steps between the two dragons before either of them can attack. Raising both hands, he reminds them once again that fighting is absolutely forbidden, especially during a party. Kellyan looks directly at Sejun and sincerely asks him to allow him to join the celebration because he also wants to eat delicious food, drink freely, and become completely drunk. Sejun rubs his chin while carefully thinking about the request. After a moment, he honestly admits that he is still unsure because Kellyan still seems somewhat hostile toward everyone. Kellyan lets out a frustrated sigh before suddenly saying that Sijuan should take something first. A brilliant white light suddenly appears between Kellyan's hands. Everyone stares in surprise as the mysterious light slowly fades away. Resting in Kellyan's hand is a strange lump of soft white rice dough. A blue system window immediately appears in front of Sijuan, explaining that it is the artifact called the wealth-consuming rice dough. The system states that it is created by Bok, the legendary rice cake artisan of the White Rabbit tribe, who dedicates an entire lifetime to making rice cakes. It explains that only 10 of these rare artifacts exist in the entire Black Tower. The artifact has the ability to produce 1 kilogram of top-quality rice dough whenever wealth equal to 1 tower coin is supplied to it. The system also explains that only those above level 500 with at least 50 magic power can use it. Finally, it identifies Bok as the creator and lists the artifact as grade AA. Sijuan stares at the artifact with amazement. He excitedly says that it is actually a Black Tower artifact capable of turning tower coins directly into rice dough. Kaiser immediately points accusingly at Kellyan and angrily calls him a thief for stealing one of the Black Tower's precious artifacts. Kellyan simply shrugs and casually explains that greed tells him he may take anything he wants from the treasure vault. He also says that he likes this artifact because, unlike most things in the Black Tower, it is surprisingly soft, white, and pleasant to touch. Hearing this explanation, Sijuan's eyes suddenly shine brightly. Without any hesitation, formally invites him to the party. Kaiser almost falls over from shock and loudly asks how Sijuan can possibly give in so easily to such an obvious bribe. Sijuan quickly shakes his head and explains that this is not simply a bribe. He says that with this incredible artifact, they can continuously make garitiok and even brew the delicious macchiali that the raccoons used to sell. The moment the word macchiali is mentioned, both dragons' eyes immediately begin sparkling with excitement. At the same time, Kung happily jumps high into the air, while excitedly shouting the name of garitiok with great anticipation.